Podcast where we're calling a spade. Great to be here with you guys today. There are few groups on this planet, sporting groups, more miserable than the Hatelens. These people are insufferable. They complain and complain and complain and complain.
Complain and complain. That's all they do. What's good, Basley fam? The Caitlin Clark haters just lived through their worst nightmare, and the meltdown is absolutely unhinged. The Associated Press just dropped its list of the all-time greatest women's college basketball players, celebrating 50 years of the sport. And guess who made first team? Yeah, Caitlin Clark. And the reaction? Pure chaos. We're talking full-blown panic mode from the same people who've spent years trying to diminish her legacy. But here's what makes this moment different from every other controversy. This list wasn't decided by casual fans or social media hype. It was chosen by former players and AP writers, people who actually know the game. And they still put her on the first team, right alongside the legends. The haters didn't just lose this battle, they got obliterated by the opinions that actually matter. And watching them spiral? That's exactly what we're diving into today.
They whine and they whine and they whine and they whine. They cry and cry and cry and cry, and today they have a new thing to cry about. Caitlin Clark missed nearly 75% of this season, yet still they found a way to complain about her at every single turn. And now that we're in the off season,
listen to that frustration. They complain and complain, but there's something deeper happening here. This isn't just hate, it's psychological warfare. These people have poured so much energy into tearing down Caitlin Clark that every one of her achievements now feels like a personal loss to them. Every milestone she reaches isn't just a win for her, it's proof that they were wrong. And let's be honest, people hate being wrong more than they hate anything else. That's why they can't let it go. Even after she missed most of the season, they're still obsessed with her. She's living rent-free in their minds. Because admitting she's elite would mean admitting they wasted years hating on greatness. But wait until you see how they justify their rage this time. Because of the mental gymnastics? They're Olympic level.
College basketball experts selecting the greatest players of the women's poll era sounds easy until they try it. Of course, USC, Cheryl Miller, and Diana Taurasi of UConn are relatively easy choices. But narrowing the list from there, it gets tricky, inevitably leaving out talented players, including those who sharpen their skills during later professional careers. In honor of the 50th anniversary of the women's basketball poll, the Associated Press assembled a list of the greatest players since the first poll in 1976, and in the spirit of the top 25 rankings, the choices are certain to spark a debate and prompt plenty of hand-wringing among those who are in a position.
Rebecca Lobo, Maine native, UConn champion, and someone who's actually played at the highest level, said choosing this list was nearly impossible because there were too many no-brainers and not enough spots. Think about what that reveals. Even legends of the game struggled with this decision because the talent pool is that deep. 13 panelists, former players with championship pedigrees and AP sports writers who've covered decades of basketball, were tasked with one rule: judge only college careers, WNBA success. No professional accolades. Just what these players accomplished in college. Championships. Record-breaking stats. The ability to will their teams to victory. Those were the criteria. And you're about to see exactly why the haters can't handle what happened next. Because their entire argument just got dismantled by the people who actually understand greatness.
Who aren't on the list. Joining Miller on the front court on the first team are Breanna Stewart and Candace Parker, and Caitlin Clark joins Taurasi as the guards. So you have Breanna Stewart, Candace Parker, Cheryl Miller in the front court, Diana Taurasi, and Caitlin Clark. You're all women's college basketball AP first team players.
There it is, the first team all-time roster. Cheryl Miller, Breanna Stewart, and Candace Parker in the front court. Diana Taurasi and Caitlin Clark in the backcourt. That's the all-time starting five for women's college basketball, according to people who actually know what they're watching. Now, look at the second team. Sue Bird, Dawn Staley, Shameik Holdsclaw, Maya Moore, and Lucia Harris. Absolute legends. Hall of Fame caliber names. And here's where the haters expose themselves. They're not mad that Caitlin Clark made the list. They're furious that she made first team over Maya Moore. That's their argument. Not that she doesn't belong in the conversation, but that she should have been second team. You see what just happened? They accidentally admitted she's one of the 10 greatest college players ever. They've moved the goalpost so many times, they've forgotten where they started. But here's the best part, their meltdown is just getting started. And the contradictions in their arguments? They're about to expose something way deeper than basketball opinions.
Record for any D1 women's or men's basketball players. Quote, being named an AP All-American is one of the most storied honors in college sports, Clark said. It means a lot to be named on this list, alongside players I looked up to. It's so fun to think about what it would have been like if we all played together.
Caitlin Clark led Iowa to back-to-back national championship appearances while becoming the all-time leading scorer in Division I basketball history, men's or women's. Let that sink in for a second. The selection criteria included championship pedigree or record-breaking statistics, not both. She didn't need to check every box. She just needed one. She shattered the most significant individual record in the history of the sport. But the haters? They're about to argue that championships are the only thing that matters, which is fascinating, because that same logic would eliminate dozens of players they consider untouchable. Watch how quickly they abandon consistency when it doesn't fit their narrative. Because the tweets we're about to break down reveal something much darker than a simple sports debate. This is about people who need her to fail so badly. They'll contradict themselves in the same sentence.
As they said in White Chicks, they're throwing BFs. If you know, you know. Let's take a look at some of the reactions, shall we? Am I wrong for looking for Sue Bird? Second team. Caitlin Clark was cold in college, but ain't no way in hell she's better than Maya Moore. Missing someone. I was going to agree, but I didn't know Moore won 2 Players of the Years and not one. She should be first team. She has no type of championship on either level, no MVP, no defensive MVP, just a Rookie of the Year. How does that make her one of the greats? Because she shoots from the logo? I'm so confused. There we go.
The reactions came flooding in immediately. Am I wrong for looking for Sue Bird on the second team? Caitlin Clark was good in college, but there's no way she's better than Maya Moore. Then someone replies, I was going to agree, but I didn't even know Moore won 2 Player of the Year awards instead of 1. Notice the pattern here. These people are arguing with passion about players whose resumes they don't even know. They're so emotionally invested in tearing down Caitlin Clark that they're making bold, definitive statements, without even checking basic facts. And then it escalates. She has no championships on any level. No MVPs. No Defensive Player of the Year. Just Rookie of the Year. How does that make her one of the greats? Because she shoots from the logo? I'm so confused. Exactly, they are confused. Because they're analyzing this with feelings, not facts. They're so blinded by bias they can't process that record-breaking scoring alone qualifies her for an all-time list. But here's the wild part. They're about to make an argument that completely destroys their own position. And they don't even realize it.
Wow, Maya Moore should definitely be on this list. Null and void. All these players won national championships except one. So why is she listed? Wow. Everyone but Caitlin Clark won an NCAA women's championship. And how is Maya Moore not first team? Did they check her resume? AP fumbled this one for sure. These people are miserable. That's the only way to put it. These people are miserable. They just want to complain. They just want something to complain.
All these players won national championships, except one. So why is she listed? There it is, the championship argument. The most predictable take in all of sports debate. But here's why that logic completely falls apart. If championships are the only thing that matters, then every player on a title-winning team is automatically better than every player who didn't win one. That would mean a bench role player from a championship team is better than a generational superstar who carried a weaker program on her back. T would mean context doesn't exist. Team success does not equal individual greatness, and that's exactly why the criteria for this list included multiple factors. But here's the truth. These haters need championships to be the only thing that counts, because it's the one box Caitlin Clark hasn't checked yet. They're not evaluating. They're reverse engineering their argument from a conclusion they already decided on. She doesn't belong. Then they work backward to justify it. And when you do that, you expose your bias in real time. But one person is about to say something so contradictory, it completely breaks the entire conversation.
Criteria: championship pedigree or record-setting, record-breaking Caitlin Clark. clearly should be first team on this. It gets worse, folks. It gets worse. Can y'all let her get there? That's y'all fandom's problem. Putting her in stuff she ain't backed up yet. Attention, dumbass. This is college. She's cashed all the checks. She's cashed all the receipts. She's backed it up in college. This is college. People choose not to comprehend. It's okay.
Can y'all let her get there? That's y'all fandom's problem. Putting her in stuff she hasn't backed up yet. Then someone replies with 2 words that shatter the entire argument. This is college. And they follow up, she's cashed all the checks. She's backed it up in college. This is college. That's the breaking point. Because this list isn't about potential or pro careers, it's about what players accomplished in college. And in college, Caitlin Clark became the all-time leading scorer in Division I history, led her team to 2 national championship games, won multiple Player of the Year awards, and changed the visibility of women's basketball forever. She backed up everything. But the haters are so trapped in their own narrative, they're literally arguing against a list based on criteria they're ignoring. To this point, it's not even a sports debate anymore. It's psychological warfare they're losing. And it's about to get even more desperate.
They just making up shit for Cece to be a part of. She was in no way better than Maya Moore in college. LOL. Where is the chips? Where are the chips? If Cece didn't become famous in that last 1.5 seasons, she would not be on the list. She had been doing what she was doing for 2 whole years before everybody got hip. I'm not buying this. Sorry! Especially when half of media and analysts were/are not watching women's basketball consistently. I guarantee you, Rebecca Lobo was watching consistently. First team, all greatest. Indeed, priceless.
Caitlin Clark didn't become famous until the last year and a half. If she hadn't blown up recently, she wouldn't even be on this list. That's the new narrative, and it's where the desperation reaches its absolute peak. They're now arguing that her accomplishments don't count because people paid attention to them. Think about that for a second. She broke the all-time scoring record in Division I history. But because it happened when the world was finally watching, it's somehow less valid. The mental gymnastics required to maintain this logic could qualify for the Olympics. And then, of course, they go after the voters. Half these analysts weren't even watching women's basketball consistently. Really? Because Rebecca Lobo, who literally played at the highest level, won a national championship, and now covers the sport for a living, was one of those voters. She watched. She voted. She knows. But facts don't matter when you're this committed to being wrong. And the final tweet in this meltdown? It's about to show just how far gone these people really are.
May have gotten this right. Wow. Whoa. Maya Moore was a better college player than Caitlin Clark. Maya Moore was good. This do not match. 11 national titles combined, and Caitlin Clark contributed none to that total. I would have put Sue Bird, Cheryl Swoops, Ann Meyer, and definitely Maya Moore above Clark. In my opinion, to be a GOAT player, you got to put a title or 2 behind it, or you're at best an all-time great.
1 national title? 11 national titles combined, and Caitlin Clark contributed none of them. I would have put Sue Bird, Cheryl Swoops, and definitely Maya Moore above her. To be a GOAT player, you've got to have a title or 2 behind it. Otherwise, you're at best an all-time great. Hold up. Read that last sentence again. To be a GOAT player, you need championships, or you're at best an all-time great. Do they realize what they just admitted? They literally just said Caitlin Clark, in their own words, is an all-time great. And what's the list called again? The all-time greatest women's college basketball players. They're so tangled up in their own emotions, they're arguing against themselves. This is what happens when your position is built on feelings instead of facts. You end up proving the exact opposite of what you set out to say. They didn't debunk her greatness. They just confirmed it.
A dumbass? This is literally a list of the all-time greats. Are you okay? Somebody see if that person needs medical attention. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Of course she's going to be on this list. First team, of course. Shoot. We're only having this conversation because of her as it is. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. That'd mean a lot to me. See you next time, and as always.
Alright, Basley fam. What we just witnessed was a masterclass in how bias completely destroys logic. The haters moved the goalposts. They contradicted themselves. They argued against the very criteria they invented, and in the process, they accidentally admitted that Caitlin Clark is an all-time great. They tried to bury her legacy and ended up building her case. The AP got this one right, plain and simple. Former players and expert writers evaluated college careers based on clear, consistent criteria, and Caitlin Clark earned her spot on that first team. This